Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, I'm sitting here and I was listening to people talking about how Ben Simmons is done because he scored 0 points in a game a few days ago. And I didn't check the stats. I was just listening to people talk. It wasn't no big deal. If he had some setbacks or something like that, I'm not following the Nets as closely as I'm following my team, so I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm just a guy watching from afar. But when I look at his stats, that particular game when they said he was a no-show, and I looked at my fantasy points and what he had given me, and it was 40 fantasy points in a no-scoring game, I had to come here and say something. Because I think what gets lost with Ben Simmons is the fact that he doesn't look to score. And granted, I'll be the first person to tell an O for gopher, that's what I call my Lakers who don't score, that they are not playing well. But if their functionality is to not score very much, like say Juan Toscano Anderson or something like that, I'm not going to call him an O for gopher, because I know that his functionality isn't necessarily to score, but he's going to give me a lot of production in other areas if he's doing right. Same thing with Draymond Green. Draymond Green walk away with 4 points. I don't care if he's doing everything else that he's supposed to do, because he's Draymond Green. You know what I mean? There's certain players like that. Nobody really looked to those players to score 1,000,000 points, but you definitely want them to give you production that'll make up for it. And that's exactly what they do. So Ben Simmons, my thing with Ben Simmons has been, I don't like the fact that they brought him back knowing that the back wasn't 100%, knowing that he wasn't in tip-top shape, and they're going to be asking him to take on defensive assignments, stuff like that. But Claxton has ascended into a fantastic defensive player, and so it's taken a heap load of pressure off of what I thought would be there for Ben. And then I look up and they got Sharp playing pretty well as well. KD's really, really healthy, playing fantastic for him. So it's a lot of support. Royce O'Neal has exceeded all of my expectations. So they've had the support defensively that I didn't think he would have. But, there's still some things that he's going to have to overcome in order to get in the best possible shape. And he's been away from the game for, 2 years? And the other issues that he had going on made it even more of an uphill battle. So for me, it's like, all right, we got to be patient with that dude, because we already know that his functionality of basketball is to play defense and to get others involved and rebound. If he happens to score, that's a damn good thing, because he did once score a lot at times. We've seen games where he went for 35, 40 points, driving at the basket, but that was when he was in extremely great shape. And it allowed him to slash to the back of the basket and use his athleticism repeatedly in transition off of steals and stuff like that. Open court plays where he's catching lobs himself. He's not necessarily somebody you would ever expect to get into a jumper bag or a three-point shooting bag, obviously. That's not ever a part of his game. But he can get scoring when he needs to, when he's in good shape. If he's not in good shape, he's not going to be able to do that. So that's what he's trying to work his way back from. Back surgery. Not just a bad back like it's been reported, but actual going under the knife. And he's back. There's been a lot of guys who've gone under the knife. They don't come back as good as he looks. We talk about a guy like Porter Jr. over there in Denver. His career still ain't going where it needs to be because of that back. It's been 5 years. They've been sitting on him comfortably. And he comes in, plays a couple games, and then has to sit back out for that thing. So, and he don't have no defensive responsibilities. He ain't got to bang up against Julius Randle and Giannis Antetokounmpo like Ben does. So when we talk about what Ben Simmons is dealing with, and you couple with the fact that he hasn't missed too many games this year. I'm looking at a guy like Anthony Davis on my team. Ben's played more games than him. So what are we really saying about Ben? I mean, I'm not a Ben fan per se. I've just been a supporter of him throughout this offseason since I've been paying attention to everything he's been going through these last 2 years. But, I didn't watch the Sixers. I don't watch the Nets. So it's like, from afar, I just know what I've heard and understand him based on the games I've seen. The games I've seen, when he's in great shape, he can score with with the best of them. He can really give you a lot of points. And he has his own way of doing it. It's not like he's going to be doing it the way that you used to seeing it, but he can dunk the ball, he can lay the ball up, he can get putbacks and stuff like that. And the better shape he's in, the more scoring you will be able to expect. But that's the thing with the Nets. I guess everything is falling into place, to be honest with you, because like I said a few days ago on one of these videos I did, he's starting to look like he's going to be somewhere like his old self somewhere down the road. I think that's how I worded it. That from where he's at right now, you can see a path where a year from now he looks like his old self. Just like we saw with Klay Thompson when he first started shaking off the rust after all them years off. And, you know, he had the playoffs where he didn't look that great, but they won the championship anyway. Now you look at him this year and he's up to scoring 56 points and stuff like that. That's the same thing Ben's doing. This is his Klay Thompson year last year when Klay was struggling and people were wondering if he was going to make it on the team and people were saying, oh my God, Klay's done. No, he's just not in shape. And I think that's what we want to really normalize, people having on the forefront of their mind when assessing players. You know how you feel when your conditioning isn't where it's best. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things. I was laughing a couple days ago, so I was hearing somebody say they were going, you know, if he was preparing for a fight, he would be doing a bunch of push-ups and stuff like that. He wasn't ready to run a fade that day because he hadn't stretched. And it's like, that's how it is even for regular people. Like, we can't go out there and do most strenuous stuff if we're not prepared, if we don't stretch, if we don't get loose. So for athletes, it's a much more strenuous thing. And for a guy like Ben Simmons, the responsibilities he has on both sides of the floor, which a lot of stars don't have, they're only required to play one side. For him being a workout warrior and having like 20 extra pounds of muscle on his body is the difference between him being a good player and being a mediocre guy. It is the difference. Because if he's trotting out there with his skill set, you know, we were talking about guys who can play low to the ground like Zebo. We were saying I believe LeBron James would be able to play low to the ground. Guys whose game is not predicated on their strength and lifting and stuff like that. Chris Paul can probably do it. You know, guys who have great floor game. Fantastic fundamentals. I don't look at Ben Simmons as one of them dudes. Hell no. He needs his strength. He needs his athleticism. He needs his jumping ability to accumulate the stats that he gets outside of scoring. Rebounding requires athleticism. Blocking shots requires athleticism. Keeping up with people going side to side, left and right, and banging with heavy, strong, athletic players, which is his job, requires him to be in the best shape possible. You know what I mean? If he comes in having only done a little light workout like I'm doing in my house and then going to trot out there, he's not going to succeed. You know what I mean? It takes a certain level of conditioning. So it's like, that's what it is. That's what we're going to normalize understanding when we look at all of our players. What shape is he coming back in? This is why I don't want Anthony Davis to come back, because I have this on the forefront of my mind. You bring Anthony Davis back, a fragile basketball player, and he's only just fresh off injury, that means his body's barely freshly healed from what it is. It's not no resistance there. It's just the healing, and that's it. Ain't no muscle on top of that healing. It's just the heel. So when the heel gets ruptured, you go right back to square one, as opposed to having the conditioning that would allow them to have a little more resistance. Healing resistance. You know, that kind of thing is a thing. When you're in better shape from the point that you're at when you get hurt, you should probably be able to come back depending on the injury. But if you're in terrible shape, oh, your conditioning level is going to be even harder to come back from. You know, what are you doing around the circumstance? You know, what was your conditioning level when you got hurt? These type of things, I think, can hold weight depending on the type of injury, especially if it's a light injury that you're coming back from. So I look at a guy like Ben Simmons. Obviously, this is not a light injury, but the conditioning means the world to the situation. And from what I'm seeing, he's strung together a bunch of games in a row, which is the only thing that matters. If you really want to know the truth, when I'm assessing a guy like Ben Simmons, I don't care what he did for the 48 minutes he played. Did he play that day? Yes. He went home, got a good night's sleep, woke up, and the body was feeling better the next day, and he went and played again, right? And we had like 7 or 8 consecutive of these. That's what you want to see when a guy's had back surgery. That's what you want to see, because you want to see that he hasn't had any setbacks with his conditioning. You want to see that his body can withstand what he's going up against, and you want to see that you can increase it as he continues to be consistent. So that's all I'm looking at Ben Simmons. I don't care how he's playing. You know, not necessarily. Obviously, the Nets have needs with KD being out. But just for the trajectory of his contract and making sure that it is what it's supposed to be, what you want to see from Ben Simmons is all you're seeing right now. In the first year back from a 3-year injury, he's serviceable and able to string together 7 and 8 games in a row. And in doing so, whether he scores or not, he's highly effective with steals, assists, and rebounds, which is all you really hire him to do anyway. So that's what I want to say about Ben Simmons. I think Ben Simmons is on the right path. I think, playing with KD and Kyrie is taking pressure off of him to be a star, because obviously he's the third guy and he's not looked to score as much as to which if he were somewhere else. They would be on him trying to make him Philly Ben again, and it's just not the same dynamic in Brooklyn. So I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing from Ben. As long as he can continue to not have any setbacks, he looks like he's on the right track. Just like I said before, I started studying what I'm seeing there. It's just, you don't even need to be paying attention to it too close to kind of know what it is that he needs to be doing. He needs to just be able to withstand what's coming at him and play consecutive games. And if his body can withstand that and continue to withstand that, he's on his way. He's a naturally athletic person anyway. He was a naturally workout warrior anyway. So for him to get back in shape or to develop the habits to make it so that he can get back in shape eventually, that's not going to be hard. He's already done it. He's already proven that when he first came back from the foot injury. Or rather before the foot injury, if you ask me. I think he was in his best conditioning right before that. But the point was, he got in that space. He did the reps. So I already know the habits are there. So it's like, when I look at guys like that, I'm not worried about them getting back in shape. They just need time to do it. I said the same thing about Dwight Howard. Now, Dwight Howard's worked out his entire career. So if he had any setbacks with his health, his recovery should be imminent based on those habits. If his body will allow him to ever get back in shape, his consistency and mindset will allow him to build from wherever he's at. So that's what I understand. That's why seeing him kicking butt overseas is not surprising. He's in better shape this year than he was last year because he kept working out and he ain't had no setbacks. You know what I'm saying? These are things that we got to consider. It's why guys like Grant Hill were able to rekindle their career. Because once you finish getting through all those horrible injuries, whatever they are, then it's about your workout determination and consistency. You know what I mean? And then from there, you'll be able to develop a consistent career for a lot of guys. This is why I want Anthony Davis to stay on his path with the type of workout he did this offseason. Because this is just year one of that particular workout. Those uphill those uphill sand running, stuff like that, stuff that works on his lower body. That's what he needs to be doing for the rest of his career. Like, that wasn't just a one-off season thing and just see if he can get in shape. Hell no, he should have been doing that stuff throughout the rest of his career. And uphill stuff, he should try to simulate how to do all of those workouts a little more in his life so that he can strengthen the areas of his body that need to be strengthened so he can be his best self. Now, granted, if he has some type of genetic issue, which has been discussed, that keep him from being able to heal properly and all that, there's exceptions to the rule, unfortunately. But I think even for people like that, you give yourself the best chance by being in the best shape. That's all there is to it. That goes for all souls on this earth. If you're not in a position to be a super athlete, whatever it is you can do within your parameters should be worked on. Even if it's just moving a finger twice a day, if that's as far as it goes, let it be that. And work until you can get to 3 lifts and 4 lifts and 6 lifts to 170 lifts. And I promise you, whatever strength level you're going to gain, you're getting it. It's coming. With rest, recovery, and good nutrition, you will gain strength no matter where you are. And I mean that. You could be at the bottom and you will work something. So with that being said, I think that Anthony Davis, Ben Simmons, and players like that just need to continue to work the conditioning level, the training that they've been learning. You know what I mean? Because it's obviously new training that's been coming their way over the last several years since they've been diagnosed as these injury-type players. Stick to those trainings. Stick to that regimen and stick to whatever they tell you, because I believe it gives you your best chance to extend your career. And as far as people like, the ESPN guys and the Yahoo guys or whoever may say, oh, he's not himself anymore. Oh, that guy's done. Oh, the injuries have ruined him. It's all about what happens after the injuries take place. Do they have any setbacks? Are they able to consistently ring together good conditioning? Do they have the habits in place mentally so that they don't have any setbacks? Eating bad foods, drinking, doing stuff that's going to set that back? If not, then they should be able to get to their best self one way or another. One way or another. I'm watching Joe Johnson, and I've mentioned his name many times on this channel because every time I see him on IG, he's doing some type of super hot yoga or something. He's in twice the shape he was when he was in his playing days. Twice the shape, I guarantee it. But it's one of those things where it's like he might be a little too old to play in the league, but not too old to run circles around just about everybody his age. It's that kind of thing. So it's like, I just think a lot of athletes, especially ones who've had injury issues, I don't think they should give up on their bodies. Now, when I see stuff like that in the world, absolutely not. Now, when I see my own dang self, when I'm doing a lot of more physically than I ever could in my life, and I'm 38 now, so it's like, it's a different day, man. Nutrition and understanding and conditioning will allow for guys to extend their careers even if they had bad starts. Steph Curry's a prime example with his ankles. Several other guys as well who didn't get good starts, but are still extending their careers. So, Ben Simmons is definitely a case for that. He's still young. I don't think he's even 28 yet. I don't even think he's that age yet. So, I still think the best basketball could possibly be ahead of him, but he just needs to not have any of those setbacks on that back, particularly. So, that's what I wanted to say, man. As a Laker fan with injury issues all up and down the roster, this is something we talk about and think about a lot here. So, I think we know a little something about injuries, to say the least. So, that's pretty much what I got to say, man. BDF 44. Thank you all for watching. I'm out.